Did you know that there is a great emotional involvement that affects how students learn? These aspects of learning have been studied by Douglas Brown, and he summarized them into 4 principles. Now I'm going to explain you all of them. Let's start.
The first principle is called language ego. This principle talks about the second identity that human beings develop when learning to use a second language. According to Brown, they also develop a new mode of thinking, feeling, and acting. Students experiment a strong feeling of fragility and defenselessness, so it is important to treat them with affective, tender, loving care. You may be wondering how to provide affective support. Well, here are some possibilities. Number 1. Overtly display a supportive attitude to your student and be patient. Number 2. Use techniques that are cognitively challenging but not overwhelming at an effective level. Consider learners' language ego to know who to call on or who to ask to volunteer information. It is important that you get to know your students. If your students experience a moderate identity crisis, help them to understand that the confusion of developing that second self in the second culture is normal and natural.
The second principle is about self-confidence, but we can also call it the I can do it principle, or the self-esteem principle. It says that a person's belief in his or her ability to accomplish a task is at least partially a factor in the eventual success in attaining the task. How can teachers help students in this aspect? First, giving ample verbal and non-verbal assurances to students. That is, letting them know that they are fully capable of learning and completing tasks. Second, sequencing techniques from easier to more difficult, so students can establish a sense of accomplishment.
Principle number 3 talks about the importance of getting learners to take calculated risks in attempting to use language, both productively and receptively. In a certain way, successful language learners must be willing to become gamblers in the game of language. Brown says that if the previous 2 principles are satisfied, the groundwork is laid for risk-taking. Now I'm going to tell you how to foster risk-taking in a classroom. Number 1. Create an atmosphere in the classroom that encourages students to try out language. Number 2. Provide reasonable challenges in your techniques. Make them neither too easy nor too hard. 3. Help your students to understand what calculated risk-taking is, so they don't feel they must blurt out any old response. And number 4. Respond positively to students' risky attempts, praising them for trying and also paying attention to their language. The less effective principle of Brown is the one referred to the language-culture connection. According to what the author says, language and culture are intricately intertwined, so whenever you teach a language, you also teach a complex system of cultural customs, values, and ways of thinking, feeling, and acting. Classroom applications of this principle include the following: discussion of cross-cultural differences with students, and stating that no culture is better than another. Techniques and materials that illustrate language-culture connection. And the importance of language as a powerful tool for adjustment in the new culture.
And this is the end of the video. I hope you understood the principles so you can put them into practice. Bye!